Welcome to Entreprogrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
All right,
we're live. You get to this is called the John texting edition of Entreprogrammers.
Yes.
He starts the broadcast and then goes quiet because he's texting.
I messaged
Trying to get Manny in.
So I'm in Barcelona. So
nice.
Very
Go
cool.
eat some tapas for us.
what's that?
Go eat some tapas for us.
Some tapas. Yeah, I know. Tapas are like the biggest ripoff in the world, though.
I've never had it. So
because it's like you order a tapa and it's the price of a regular meal, right? It's like 9-10 euros, right? So, and then you get it and it's like this little tiny dish, right? And then you split it with whoever you're with, and it's like you each get to bite one piece of meat, and then you're like, oh, still hungry. All right, we'll just order another tapa. So you order 6-7 tapas. I guess it comes to whatever, but and then then you gotta wait for them. Yeah.
Tapas is Spanish for stupid Americans.
Oh, I did get the rundown on the numbers dropping. I emailed Blueberry. I said, "What the hell, guys?"
What
it's the stupidest thing. So they said, so part of it is that they switched over to the IAB tracking numbers thingy. And part of it is so that standard, what it says is that you basically, and it was funny because when I talked about this with you guys, I kind of came to the same conclusion on my own as far as tracking uniques, within 24 hours from the same IP address and the same user agent. And anyway, so that's what they're doing. But then they found out that I guess Apple Podcasts, the app, was telling it was sending requests with two different user agent strings.
Oh.
So you were essentially getting double counted if you were using the Apple Podcasts app. And depending on the show, between 60 and 80% of my listeners are using that app. And so if they got a request from anyway, so they were deduplicating it that way, and so that's why my numbers dropped so precipitously. And
I gotcha.
And the guy that emailed me back, I've talked to him before at some of the podcasting events. He also mentioned that Libsyn and some of the others had the same issue at the same time. And so I went back and I looked because he specifically tied it to iOS 11. And yeah, when iOS 11 released, there was an uptick in my listenership. And then December 1st is when the downtick occurred. And so anyway, that's more or less what happened. So DigitalOcean's marketing agency wanted a report. And so, I basically said, hey, look, these numbers aren't what I expected. So let me email my stats provider and find out what's going on. Of course, they haven't really pushed back or anything yet. So,
yeah.
DigitalOcean hasn't?
No.
Okay.
I mean, but everyone suffered the same problem pretty much. So
Yeah.
I would just tell them, yeah. It's
I'm
not
just
like it changed. It's not like it dropped, right? I mean, that's the key thing is it's like, whatever the numbers say, it doesn't really matter. It was like the same value now as it is before.
Yeah. They said that it hit some people harder than others. And I'm still a little bit skeptical because those numbers are lower than they were before iOS 11.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the story there is. Yeah. But anyway, so I think when I go back around for renewals, I'm basically just going to be like, look, here's essentially what I understand happened. I've been trying to give everybody the best information I can. And so I'm going to just offer, I'm just going to say, look, so I'm lowering the prices, for the exposure you're getting, because you're getting lower amount of exposure as far as I can tell. And and then let them renew at a lower price.
I don't know if you should. Well, they're not getting a lower amount of exposure because they're getting the same exposure. At least like they're getting the same exposure they were. It's just that the reporting is showing a different number. But
yeah, but your pricing CPM based, right?
Yes, it has been. I mean, I could keep the same price
and you
just
kind of raised it using the new numbers to justify it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. I guess that kind.
But I can. Well, I haven't changed the pricing since December.
Yeah. Then I wouldn't even. I don't know. Like let's think about this for a second, because it's like I'm trying to think of a analogy of this. It's like
you're telling me to go off the gold standard, is what you're telling me. Right? Instead of, so I just move on to CPM if they're happy to pay for what they're getting.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's almost like
it's Chuck's fiat
this
currency.
This is my dilemma. This is the thing. Yeah. Chuck's fiat currency. Yeah, I'm going to build my own cryptocurrency.
You can develop you can develop your own currency just called the Chuck.
There we go.
We'll all pay in Chucks.
It's kind of like, okay, I was thinking, okay, let me think about this. Here's an analogy. It's kind of a weird one, but I had a coaching client that I was coaching on overcoming social anxiety and talking to girls and whatnot. And he was like,
this is going exactly like I expected.
His success that he was having. And then he was like, yeah. And then, I was talking to her and I was like, I'm so glad that you responded positively to me, because I was like so nervous and I hadn't done this before and I was practicing like to do this. And I was like, why did you say all that? What happened? Like, don't volunteer that information. Like, you were fine, you were good. She was happy, you're good. And now she's like processing all this information about, I thought this was a cool guy and now I'm not so sure anymore. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, you don't need to like say something that's going to like make someone like, just if they're good, they're happy. If they complain, then I think I just wouldn't volunteer it in order to. You see what I'm saying? Like don't put your own foot in your mouth. Like make them.
I mean, I have a lot of these kinds of things going through my head, and that's one of them. Right? Is if they're happy to pay what they're paying, and they're happy with what they're getting, then In
fact. Here we go. How about this? Here's an even like another level of this, which would be this. What if you tell them that you were initially going to raise the rates, but you've decided not to because there was problems with their reporting, and so they're getting a discount. So normally on this renewal, I was going to raise the rates by X amount, but because of all this, some of the stuff that happened with the stats reporting changing globally, I decided to just keep the rates the same.
That's possible. I have two other issues, though, that I'm a little concerned about. One of them is that most new sponsors sponsor based on the traffic that I tell them that I'm getting. And so if I'm lining up new people, I don't think I can sell them for the rates that I'm getting with my current sponsors. And the other thing is I tend to put those numbers out there so people can just come at me and say, I want this one and I'm willing to pay this much.
Yeah.
And so if I put out a lower number than what my current sponsors are paying, then they might have an issue with that. And I know that some of them do check that stuff periodically. They're not checking on those numbers per se. They're just checking to see what I have published.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like from a kind of like,
and I want to deal straight with these folks, but
yeah.
I feel like dealing straight isn't necessary. I mean, so if I'm out there deliberately trying to hide that the numbers are different from what they had been in the past, I think that's not dealing straight. If I'm out there,
done a really bad job of that so far by telling you.
Right, I know. But if I'm in there and I'm just saying, look, if this is worth the value to you for what you've been getting so far,
right?
I don't feel like I'm ripping them off, and I don't feel like I'm being,
right.
deceitful.
You basically what you'd have to do would be to raise effectively to keep the same rates for new clients. You
have to raise my CPM.
CPMs way. Yeah. How much is the hit?
On some of the shows, it's about half.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would lean towards not saying anything about it until unless they say something. Like, again, you can't advertise it at that. Like, you have to, if you're going based on CPM, like, you can't, like, it would be outright lying if new people came on and you said this and then it's not that. But people that are already sponsors, there's no reason to, like, stir the pot, I think, is what I would say. It's like, because you can always, like, if they raise an issue, you can explain what exactly happened, but yeah, it doesn't.
Are you publishing your rates publicly?
So I have, y'all, holy cow. So I have in the past, and I am going to be putting the rates on Podwrench, mainly because I want people to be able to just come in and, click on the ones that they want, order. But I'm generally finding that most people need a sales call, and then I just send them an invoice.
Right.
That's still the way it goes. Even I've actually sent a few sponsors, to that page to say, hey, go pick what you want, and then we'll move from there. And they don't. Eventually, I just email them and I say, look, I just threw together this invoice that's for this many episodes, and that's what they wind up paying. And so I'm kind of leaning toward at this point, just working out some kind of payment system through Podwrench, so that it's just, hey, look, here's a package, and then they can just click on the package and buy it. In which case, I could just set the pricing for the package. But I have to make it worth it to them, right? And I think if I sweeten the deal a little bit with saying, look, we'll send out an email campaign as part of this package, for a week, and talk about, why people need something like what you offer, and then, a sales pitch at the end of that. Or
that could actually be a potential way to go. Like, instead of offering them a discount, what if you offered them additional value? Even if it's just kind of a one-time thing. And I think that would help a lot with.
Yeah, the other one that I've been looking at, since I've kind of ramped up on the writing books and doing courses thing, is I've thought about doing like a free course on whatever their product is, right? So it's like, look, I'll do up to 2 or 3 hours showing people how to use your product.
That would be extremely valuable.
And then, it just gets offered on my store, but people can just come pick it up for free. And I can also use it as a lead magnet. So I can turn it around and get more people on my list, which in turn also gets people to go look at their things. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I'm still kind of, as I'm thinking about it, I'm still leaning towards, like, the best thing to do is just send them an invoice and not say anything at all.
Yeah,
because
I think
if you think about that, like, okay, that comes back to that first analogy I had. It's like, just go with it. Just, like, you know what I mean? And it's like,
well, if you're giving them a report, though, are you reporting with them regularly?
DigitalOcean, I am. The rest of my sponsors tend to not care.
Then just send them invoices. That's just like, I mean, and then if someone comes back and they're like, hey, your numbers are lower, or they ask for a report, then you can get into. Otherwise, you're just creating problems where there may not be a problem at all. Even if you offer more or a discount or whatever you do, it could just, like, sometimes when you're trying to be forthcoming and honest, that's exactly why I gave you that first analogy, because I couldn't click it in my head, but now it's clear. It's like when you're trying to be super forthcoming, people think you're hiding shit. And so it's like, it's better to just not say anything at all, right? It's like, you try to be truthful, and then people are like, wait a minute, like, why are you telling me all this information, right? Because it's not in your best interest, and then they get suspicious. So it's better to, I think it's just send them invoice, and then, like, if they come back and say something, then you can, do whatever. You can offer them more or offer them discount, but like 90% of them are probably not going to say anything at all. And then, you just move on. And then by the time that, your stats are going to keep on increasing over time. So
that's true.
Catch up.
They are getting what they paid for. I mean, honestly, right?
Yeah, so
they are, because I didn't promise exposures. I just promised them. I just said, look, this is the historical data that we have so far, right?
Right.
And so I'll go and I'm going to be amending that. And so, yeah, newer sponsors, because that's the other thing I found is that most sponsors don't stick around long term. Like they'll stick around for a year or two, and then they'll move on to something else. Though I wonder a little bit if some of that was due to them having expectations based on inflated numbers, which is possible, but I don't know how likely that is. Because
I mean, everybody, if that, I don't think so, because if they had any kind of data to back up their expectations, everyone's data was inflated, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just you.
And the other thing about this is it's like, and this is just a good way going forward. It's like, you can't guarantee. What you can guarantee is that you will put their ad in the place that you said on the episode, right? You can't guarantee how many downloads will happen. You can show them historically what you've got for data. This is the best of your ability to record this data. And then also, with that, it's like, the thing is too, it's like, okay, I could tell someone, like we could say on an email list, I could have an email list of 1 million people. And I could say, I'm going to email to 1 million people. And this is what it costs you. I could have another email list that has 50,000 people on it and charge the same price and get the exact same results, right? It's like the number of downloads does not directly correspond to the actual actions, the effectiveness of the campaign.
Right.
It's going to be, so what those stats were is irrelevant because it didn't drastically change. Like if half your audience dropped off, that would be different, but essentially it's the same. And so what they're buying is the effectiveness. Like the stats tell them the odds of the campaign being more effective or not, but they don't ultimately determine the effectiveness.
Also,
it tells them how many pairs of ears they're getting in, and they're playing the odds that a certain percentage of a larger number is going to come their way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. See, what you're missing here is that you don't have a way of tracking what happens on their end, because if you did, what would happen is that number would double effectively.
Yeah.
The percentage would double, right? If they've got 1% response and you have 10,000, if you cut that to 5,000, now you get 2% response.
2%,
so what's missing in this equation for you to be able to present them an accurate picture is that it's hard to measure that result.
Yeah, I've considered asking for that, but I don't even know how I'd want it or how I would process it if I got it. I mean, with Podwrench, I could conceivably like put some, give them some kind of pixel or, success token that they can put on their page, right? Some JavaScript that executes and says, okay, success, right? And then I can track the conversions. And I would, they'd get that information too.
It's going to be so much type-in traffic, though. That's the problem. There's like no way.
Yeah. And the problem is you're working in a commodity industry. And if you specialize, like if you that's extra work for you, but it doesn't actually increase the premium, right? Like, I mean, what I'm saying is that like they're advertising on multiple podcasts. Like if you offer a service, it's not going to increase your price because of the premium. Like someone's not going to say, okay, we pay X CPM, but we'll pay more CPM because we get better tracking. Like it's.
No, I don't think that's it. But if I had the tracking and let's say they're converting at 3 or 4%, then I could conceivably increase my rate, even though I'm not giving them the upfront traffic. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so people who are looking for direct conversions, right? People who come download or buy.
Okay, but if you're getting paid on conversion, you should really just do affiliate marketing as opposed to. Because that's the difference. Like the difference between affiliate marketing and advertising, it's essentially the same thing, right? It's basically exactly the same thing. The only difference is where the line is drawn. Like if you do advertising,
what stage you're paying for.
Yeah, you're basically guaranteeing, or not guaranteeing, but you are giving them the exposure, and the results are up to them. If you're doing affiliate marketing, you're drawing the line over here, and you're saying, okay, I only get paid if you get for every lead that I turn you.
Which would be great, but most people aren't. Well, the problem with it is that most people are not willing to pay anywhere near what they actually make off of a customer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So like they'll pay you, like most people in for drip, a customer for them might be worth like, $3,000 or something. And they'll pay us like, this bad example because drip's recurring, but they'll pay you like 15% recurring or something.
Right.
Right.
So it ends up not being worth it. Like if it's not going to be worth your time to do affiliate versus paid advertising, because they're not going to be willing to pay a high enough percentage.
Yep.
Unless you knew, or you have some way of increasing the conversion rate based on what you do, right? Like you control the ads in that case. Like if you're the one creating the message, then affiliate is more effective. Right? Like you could look at like what we do with Simple Programmer. Like one example would be Bluehost, right? So we do about like around $2,000 a month in Bluehost referrals. Like that's how much we get paid affiliate. We could, instead of doing referrals, like charge them an advertising rate, but I don't think that they're going to pay. I don't think they'd pay $2,000 a month in that. Maybe they would. I don't know. But in our case, since we're controlling the funnel and we're making that high conversion rate because of our messaging, it's better. It's a better deal for us as affiliate.
Right. That's going to be pretty rare, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, though.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to work off of that for right now. Because, yeah, I mean, it doesn't change the equation for anybody except for the one sponsor I have who's actually asking for these numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, then the other thing is, I mean, I would really love to be able to, give conversion numbers, especially if they're good, to potential sponsors and say, hey, look, we have, you'll get 15,000 listens on JavaScript Jabber or whatever it's at. But yeah, and then you're going to get, it converts at like 5% or something, because then I could increase the rate from what it is now if that were the case.
But you don't know what the conversion
But
rate
I don't know
be.
that, and
right.
it'd be a ton of work to figure that out unless the company's already tracking that. But a lot of times, this is the other thing about a lot of these sponsors that I've come to understand is that a lot of them just want to spend the money so that they can feel good about it.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term, right?
Campaign. Yeah.
We have a lot of people out there who are hearing about us. And look, we saw a little bit of an uptick in traffic when we started sponsoring that show. And, and so, they're happy. And I think to some degree also like Datadog and they're not sponsoring anymore, but they were the first time they sponsored with me. As soon as their sponsorship was up, they sponsored for like 4 weeks. They had gotten such a good response on their traffic that they renewed for a while.
Yeah.
And so I think, they had kind of saturated what I could send their way because eventually they backed off. And I think they changed people too, which often is the reason why I lose sponsorships. And I don't know why people roll over in some of these companies in the marketing role so often, but some of them really do go through people there.
My impression is that it seems like a lot of them are pretty young.
Yeah. And I think a lot of them get poached off to somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the people that I've dealt with seem like they're like early 20s. So
yeah, but the other thing is that KendalUi I was another one. They sponsored for 6 weeks, and then my contact there, he came back to me and said, "Hey, we're ready to renew." And so I think they're getting their money's worth out of the exposure that they're paying for. And so, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if what they're tracking or if they're tracking or, if people are telling them, hey, I heard about it on JavaScript Jabber or what. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that probably the conversion data is not really as useful, I don't think, as you think it is, because it really, really is going to depend on what they're offering. So,
it does.
I've seen, I have sponsors now who are doing like, one of them's promoting a webinar, one of them's promoting a free trial, one of them's promoting an ebook. Well, those offers are all going to convert completely different.
That's true.
And they're not even remotely comparable. Like a free trial sign up might be worth $1,000 and an ebook sign up might be worth $10. So it's really not, it's not, the conversion numbers. What I think what would be useful probably would be some way to measure traffic to prove that you're delivering some traffic for them. But then like, I don't know that what happens to that traffic is going to be as helpful to share across sponsors as it might seem.
We also live in a bubble of being direct marketers, right? Like the direct marketers track, we track conversions, right? That's like, but in the general marketing world, it's media buyers, and they're not, I'm not saying that no one tracks conversions, but like,
I've
when you're
seen
doing direct marketing, your lifeblood is conversions, right?
Everybody that I think that there's a lot, like maybe at really, really big companies like Microsoft, there's people doing but all the people that I've interacted with honestly have been like right up front asking me about ROI conversion. I mean, they seem to be, like the digital marketer crowd seems like they're pretty steeped in this now. I think it's gone that direction.
Yeah.
And this is also like probably the company, I don't know, somehow I think the companies in our space might be more inclined to do that versus big consumer companies too.
Well, regardless, like the bad thing to do if you own a casino is to go to your clients and say, are you happy with how the wages are going here? Like if someone's dropping shitloads of money in your casino, you're just like, can I get you a drink? Right? You don't ask them the question of are you, how's your bank account looking? Like, is it, you feeling like you're winning here at this casino, or how's the game treating you fairly? You think it's fair? That's like, no, you're just like, would you like another drink? I'll get you another drink, sir. So that's the whole thing, is like, you don't want to get involved in their, like, you know what I mean? If someone's going to make a bad business decision and invest in you, you just let them make that. Like, you don't want to ask that question. You don't want to ask the question of how's it going, right? Because it's a bad question.
Are you talking about me? Are you talking about me sending money to Facebook ads?
Yeah.
No. We could be.
Message from Manny.
You're not a bad decision, Manny. You're a questionable decision.
I spent $8 on Facebook ads and I got a sale. This is awesome. Like 2 hours later, Facebook ads are killing my ass.
I got left out of that part of the conversation.
I mortgaged everything I own on Facebook ads.
I end up spending $500 on Facebook ads last couple of days.
You're really quiet, Manny.
Yeah, let me connect to another. I'm on my phone. I'll try to get on Hangouts here on my computer.
But yeah, and then I sent a warm-up email to my
saw that
list, and I mentioned Framework Summit for two reasons. One is I promised Joe that I would promote it, and the other reason was that I kind of wanted to see what the click-through rate would be if I just kind of mentioned it without hard selling it. And I've got 20% open rate in the last 24 hours, 21%, and 1.1% click-through rate. And a 0.5% unsubscribe rate. So I think I'm okay, and I think I can start emailing folks and giving them more goodies and seeing how they do. So
that unsubscribe rate will go down as you do more emails.
Yeah, I kind of figured, because people
That's part of the process.
Yeah. People who are like, he's emailing me way too much, eventually most, if not all of those people will go away.
Well, it's part of the whole learning. That's just,
you just beat them down. That's what you break their spirit. Like Ryan Dyson, digital marketer. Manny, I have unsubscribed from his stupid list so many times. John's the same. Like, I've unsubscribed probably 20 times, and I keep getting emails about traffic and conversion.
Oh my God.
That, you know why? What happens is the new marketing intern comes in and he's like, I've got a brilliant idea. Why don't we take everyone we've ever had on the list and bring them back and send them an email? And I'm like,
yep,
right. It's like, so he does it.
And, I mean, fuck, Grant Cardone did that. I was every day unsubscribing to his emails, and every day I was getting emails for like 10 days after, or 20 days after the 10x stupidity that I went to like half a day off on, because John is such a fanboy of freaking Grant Cardone.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to take your advice. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the pricing where it is, and I'll update the materials with the new traffic numbers, and then I'll just see. And if I can't sell it at what it's at, then I'll have to reevaluate.
Yeah, because you've been selling. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you get 10 no's in a row, then you'll know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can come back around to the same people, and you can say, "Hey, yeah, I decided to lower the pricing."
Yep.
You know, so.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, you got to get used to like email. Like email is one thing. I see everyone do the same thing. Every guy who starts is so apprehensive about emailing. I was in the same boat. Every time it's the same story. I can't believe like I did that, and I can't believe everyone goes through the same like song. I'm like, oh man.
Well, I've talked to enough people on the email front to know that it's pretty normal. Like once you warm a list back up, you're just gonna hit a certain amount of unsubscribes. So
yeah, but not only that, like the bigger thing is like people should have been emailing long time ago. Like you should have been emailing long time ago.
Yes.
I should have been emailing long time before I started emailing. Yeah. People are just so like I was so scared of emailing for a long time. Oh, people will do this. So I had this couple at the Pat Flynn Smart Passive, like Pat Flynn meetup group. And they're like, oh, we're trying to make this happen. We're really trying to get the sales and this and that. They do some like sales for surf tours, like info products on surfing around the world. And I'm like, okay, so you're just selling on your website? They're like, yeah, we have a sales page on the website. We just sell. I'm like, how are you driving traffic? They're like, oh, people find the sales page on the website. I'm like, huh? Really? Right? So I'm like, why you have an email list? They're like, yeah, we've got an email list of like 5,000 or so. I'm like, why don't you email them? And they're like, oh, we're protecting that email list. We're like making sure that's only for really important stuff. I'm like, what's more important than this right now? You're
selling stuff and making money.
They're like, no, we want to keep it like really clean and this and that. I'm like, same story, man. Fuck. Well, people are so scared of emailing.
Well, and that's the thing is I've talked to enough people that have successfully run email campaigns to know that if you're gonna offend somebody by sending emails to the list, those people are gonna unsubscribe. Those are probably not the people who are gonna buy anyway.
Yeah.
And so there's no value in paying for having them on the list because you do pay per subscriber. Even if it's tiered, you're still paying more or less per subscriber.
It goes beyond that. The bigger challenge is that they are affecting your deliverability, your open rates, and all that stuff as well. Yep. So the sooner they get out of there, the better it is for you. Yep. Then you have a cleaner list. So, yesterday I was talking to this guy, Jason Hartman. I don't know if you've heard him. Like he's a big time real estate investor guy. He has a whole bunch of podcasts in real estate investing space. And he's selling this real estate retreat for 2 days, like real estate investment course. And the guy is really smart, wicked smart real estate guy. I would love to learn everything from him about real estate as well. He's been at it for like over 15, 20 years now. And he has a retreat in Hawaii. And I'm like, how are you marketing it? He's like, oh, I hired these Facebook guys to, run ads for it. And they're charging me like $1,500 a month for it. The retreat is in November. I'm like, what about your own list on your podcast? He's like, oh, my list, I have 30,000. I just don't know how to sell on the list, so I don't even email them. I'm like, oh, man. Right. I literally could sell your freaking, your audience on your conference. Like, I could write emails for you tomorrow that will sell that damn thing. You don't need to spend $1,500 on Facebook ads for that. You can literally do it for zero. And not only that, you will build goodwill with your audience.
I mean, you can literally type an email in that kind of situation and say, I have a retreat in Hawaii. Click here to sign up. And
the price goes up by $100 tomorrow. Click here to sign up. That's it.
That's it.
And you will get 10 sales or 20 sales from it when you have 30,000 people on the list.
Yeah. You can do that to a PayPal link.
Exactly.
I've heard of people doing that to a PayPal link with no sales page, and it will work.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is you could even do something that's slightly charming that says, you know what? I had a whole bunch of people telling me to write these fancy BS sales emails, and so you kind of tongue-in-cheek point out that that's a sales sales email, and then just say, you know what? You are all smarter than that. So if you want it, here it is. And if you don't, then I'm sorry I bothered you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
there's
would-
like
that would
infinite
work.
ways to reach out to your customers for stuff like this. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's criminal to waste money on new marketing activity when you have so much marketing potential sitting in your email.
Well, the thing that I've been kind of toying with in my head as far as trying Facebook marketing and stuff is basically to get people to either subscribe to the email list, subscribe to the podcast, or both, right? And so it would be to bring people in. And so I would do a lookalike.
Hold on, you're running ads there?
No, I'm not. I've thought about it. But yeah, and so essentially it would be, it'd be a lookalike audience from my JavaScript Jabber list minus the people on my JavaScript Jabber list. And it would be, hey, here's an episode you might like, or something like that, where they, get prompted at the end of it to subscribe.
So from my experience, the last 2 days,
I'd like to see. I'd like to hear about this.
right? I made John a superstar. John was on everyone's fucking Facebook feed for yesterday evening for the last. John was on his own feed, right, John?
Yes. Yeah. Did you get those videos up? Did you put those up?
Yeah. The videos were up to. You didn't get that?
I didn't see the videos yet.
Damn. Yeah, man. I had you. I wasn't gonna make Josh a superstar. He chickened out. I told him, hey, record a video. We'll put it up there.
Josh had unpacking to do.
Oh, come on, man.
Nobody will buy from somebody who looks like a fourth grader.
Was there any? I didn't check the video, but was there any like naked gay guys in the background? That was on Barcelona beach, So.
No, the video was good. The video was good. It made some sales as well. So totally, what happened was, so here's what I learned from 2 days of Facebook advertising, because this campaign really turned out to me was learning about Facebook advertising.
Set the context a little bit more too about what we were doing.
Oh yeah, for the listeners.
Yeah.
So we ran our productivity books package promo to your list, right?
Yep.
And your list was sending traffic to my sales page, which had a special discount for your list because we're doing a bulk discount, right? Now, I said, okay, let me just retarget. Initially, I got down this rabbit hole. The rabbit hole unraveled really fast. Okay, it all started like this. I've been
in this rabbit hole 10 times myself. So
yeah, I was looking at staring at my Thrivecart stats, refreshing cart stats, and I'm looking at the cart bounce rate, and they're around 70% bounce rate, right? 30% are buying, 70% are not buying. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm losing 70% of people. Unbelievable, right? So I go and I ask on these forums. I'm like, how do I improve my cart bounce rate? I'm like all over these forums on internet marketing stuff, right? And people are like, oh, you got to start retargeting. You got to start retargeting. I'm like, all right, fuck it, retargeting. So I go talk to my friends who are like Facebook marketers, Miles, Zach, all these guys. I'm like, hey, how do I do this shit? So I literally like get on the call with like screen share with Miles and Zach and all these guys to get my campaign going. Like, okay, you need to pixel this, you need to pixel here, you need to do this, and create a retargeting campaign around these things. So I was like, all right. So I started the campaign. Within a few hours, I had the campaign going, retargeting campaign, which was basically people who had hit the sales page. So there were initially 3 metrics, 3 pixels 3 events that we had. People who hit the sales page, people who hit the add to cart, and people who purchased, right? So people who purchased were getting excluded from any advertising, but people who hit the sales page and people who were hitting add to cart were getting advertised to again and again and again, right? So when I started that one, that retargeting with a really simple ad of just the same picture as what was on the top, the banner, which was like just the brain 10x productivity, really that simple, and saying the discount goes away, 58% offer is expiring, grab your discount soon. That's it. That was actually the best performing ad after all the ads I created, like 10 other ads I created later on. And John's was good too. The video was good. But it came in very late by the time we got there. So that ad got me around $7 per new customer, in the sense $7 per purchase.
That's good. That's not bad.
Yeah, $7 per purchase. So the only limit I was running into with this was, at some point I was saturating the people who had hit sales page.
Yeah, because there's not that many of them. There's going to be
The ones who clicked were not that many, and the ones whose Facebook information there is, they're not even fewer, right?
There's like a lot of time. Well, if you do a customer upload, Matt, it's usually about a third is what gets matched.
Your list was really good. So from the 18,000, we actually got 15,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that list was amazing.
Wow.
That's a legit list, right? Because it's an open list. It's the guys who actually are following that list. So it's a really good list, right? So when I was doing that, I found like $7 per customer. Literally, it was like at $70. I had 10 sales, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So it was working, and then I talked to Zach and Miles again. They're like, yeah, you probably are better off, like, if you want to scale this, because you're gonna reach the end of frequency. Once you start hitting a frequency of like 6 or 7, Facebook is not going to show your stuff, because then people are feeling spam, right? So then I was like, all right, what do I do next? They're like, oh, you need to get the list from Josh and John with their permission to remarket, and you need to remarket to the audience who have opened the list, opened an email, right? Opened the last 2 emails, and that's why I came out to you guys. I'm like, hey, let's get that going. Let's get your open list, right? So I got that. I put it as a custom audience. I created a custom audience out of that. It was like 15,000, and I created a whole bunch of ads and marketed to them. Now, interesting thing. This is like learning by fire, something I probably kind of quote unquote knew, but this was like real learning, right? Real with money. With money, you learn really fast. When your money is burning, right? So the remarketing to the people who had hit sales page was extremely profitable. Like, it's so good. I would do it all day long. I should actually, now I'm thinking anytime I do a campaign, I have to do that. There's actually no question. Anytime I'm doing a promo, if someone's hitting a sales page, that's like money in the bank that's got to be used. Because it's going to convert.
Let me burst your bubble for 1 second, though, on that. Which is that
I know you're probably saying that the conversions are not real and they're not always coming from Facebook, right?
Well,
yeah. Let's take our shirts off and talk.
The thing that you can never really tell about that was, would those people have eventually, like, they've visited the cart, would they have come back, gone to the cart later, and bought anyway? Because there's a certain percentage of them that, or in the next email, they would have bought.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Miles about it, and Miles was saying, well, what you're talking about is called the attribution problem, and scientists have been working on this attribution problem for years now. There's no real good answer to it. You just got to do it. If you feel that you are even returning break even at that point, you should do it, because you're going to gain customers. And I
would agree. I would agree with that. Yeah.
So, at $7 for a sale,
you're making $15 to $25 off of each of those sales. So even if you picked up 1 in 3, even if 1 in 3 wouldn't have bought, you're breaking even.
Well, that just means then you need to have like a 33% of the cost of the acquisition cost. If your acquisition cost is 33% or less, then yes. Otherwise,
you're right. That's the attribution. The question of attribution. Where exactly is the attribution in this whole thing? Now, I'll take us back to the book of Permission Marketing by Seth Godin. In that, he talked about how ultimately marketing is a game of repetition. Yes. Right? The cost of marketing is the cost of repetition of the message, because you've got to repeat the message for the buyer to buy. So ideally, it's 7 times at least for the buyer to buy, right? So you've got to get in front of the customer 7 times. So now the question then becomes, getting in front of the customers on Facebook and constantly reminding them of this offer. It's possible they would have still bought from the email list, but the fact that we got in front of them and were constantly in their face was a repetition of the message. So it's maybe direct response, maybe not direct response, but it's definitely attributional and repetition that's going on there. It's constantly on the top of their mind. Every time they go to Facebook, there is fucking 2,000 books, and there's John there, and there's me there. And they're like, all right, I got to, if it was on their mind, if the sales page was there, now it's like, it's all over the place. Yeah. It's freaking like this shit is real. This is all over the place.
Guy naked there? What is that?
Are you going to take off your shirt now? So, again, going back to the whole thing, people on sales page, man, I'm not saying you should go and find new audience on Facebook. That probably is good for like a much higher ticket price point. but retargeting to the audience that's already been on sales page is definitely worth considering, especially if you have a price point that will sustain it.
What were you seeing with the opens then?
The opens were tricky. So the opens took a lot more, money initially upspent before they even started to convert. So initially I'd spent like $100 before I even saw a single sale on it. I was like, oh shit. But I was committed to the experiment. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go on and I want to see what happens, right? I want to see what the truth is compared to what the numbers are. So I kept going, and then at the end of it, I spent maybe on the opens around. So we got 33 sales from Facebook for $500.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's not bad. I mean,
for,
what was the gross? What was the gross on that?
You'd say around $15 per acquisition.
Well, that should be profitable then, theoretically.
Well, no, because it was an affiliate campaign.
Yeah,
if it was
which is fine.
List,
yeah, which is fine. For me, it was more about the learning. I wanted to really see how far we go with this, right? I really wanted to see whatever people are talking about, is it real? Like, is Facebook working? How far is it working? So $15 customer, all right, fair enough. Now, if I had a higher ticket price point, or if I had a better way to convert those customers, like a webinar or something, or a phone call, then you can see how this could actually scale for someone who's got that kind of a higher ticket price point and a webinar sales funnel or something like that. So $200 were spent. Yeah.
Okay, so you got 33 conversions?
Yeah, $200 were spent on remarketing to those who came to the sales page. I literally could not spend more. I had put the limit at 500, and Facebook just could not spend the money.
How many of those sales came from the remarketing?
21 sales came from remarketing to the ones on sales page by just spending $200, because I was hitting saturation at one point, right?
Yep.
I was already at maybe at 150, I'd already gotten 20, then another $50 got me one, right? So I was hitting too much of the repetition. But with the remarketing to the opens, from $300, I got 13. So that was more expensive.
But conversions don't matter as much as gross spend. So because you have upsells in the funnel, right? So what was the gross revenue generated? Because what we need to know is you know what I mean? Because if you have a lot of upsells in there,
average order price is what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Well,
so for that group.
No, we got to give it to everyone at that point. We cannot attribute it to that group.
Oh, I mean, you could have different behaviors from the Facebook.
Yeah, you could have people that only buy the front end offer but don't buy the upsells. You can't assume that they would buy the upsells.
These numbers are so statistically insignificant, it would be hard to make that distinction here. But I would just go with our average cart was 29 plus 25%, I would say, around maybe $37, $38.
That's about what I see with upsells. Usually it's about a 20-25% bump.
Yeah.
The bump actually that makes that profitable. Then the Facebook campaign was profitable for sure, even with the affiliate deal.
Yeah.
That was all remarketing, really, technically.
And that's what what Zach was saying was that you remember Zach, John?
Yeah. Yep.
Austin.
Yeah.
Zach was saying that for any kind of business, remarketing is almost like a free money thing. Anything when it comes to acquiring new customers, that's when you have to really evaluate if it is really worth your time or not, if your offer really lines up for that kind of thing. But remarketing has insane kind of the profits on remarketing or the returns on remarketing are so much higher than anything else in terms of running ads.
So the safe thing to do then would be just to remarket to cart abandons, not to opens. Because if you just
to remarket to the sales page visitors.
Oh, okay.
That is really high conversion. Really high conversion. I wouldn't go any granular than that.
Yeah, because at the opens level, it's questionable whether that's worth the spend or not.
But I would say if it was your offer and your list, you'd still make it work. My offer to your list might have been a little difficult because they don't know me yet. They have no idea what this picture is about, who this guy is. But if you had your own offer and your own opens, I think you could still increase the conversions. You could get a lot of sales out of it. Because in those moments, you become omnipresent to them more or less. You're on their Instagram feed, they're on their Facebook feed,
okay, so
mobile.
here's I've tried this actually and not seen any appreciable sales from it. And part of the reason for that, I think, is that on a normal day, if you've got autoresponders set up, we might have 100 people hitting that sales page.
Yeah.
And you have to, the thing about remarketing is that there's a half-life to it. And after a couple days, like after 2-3 days, it goes to almost zero.
Yeah.
So like for me to remarket to 10 steps to learn anything quickly people, that's like, I'm only hitting about 300 or 400, 500 people at a time. And, maybe we pick up a couple sales, but I tried it on both Google and Facebook at one point, and just, it was the volume. I guess the volume just wasn't there.
Yeah. In this case, because we had a timed sale, it was easier to do this, right? It's easier to sell. So if you have a timed sale, I think this would be really effective because you have the urgency, you have the triggers, everything is there.
Yep.
Other one I would still have to experiment with. But if you're doing an offer next time on email with someone, you can tell them that you got to run, Facebook ads to this offer, or you guys can do yourself depending on how comfortable you feel with that offer and conversions, right? Something like what were you doing last time around? The ones that were really interview cake.
Yeah.
That would probably work good on that.
That would kill. That would kill, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So if you get like people who are coming to their sales page, well, they would have to do it because it's their pixel.
Unless they give us a pixel to put on the page.
They can give you the pixel. Like that's actually a new marketing trend nowadays. People are sharing pixels.
Yeah.
So literally, you could give me your pixel, I could give you your pixel, and then we would have the audience. So yeah, I think there is a place and time for this thing. In the sense, we can make it work, especially if we have a limited time offer or we have a high ticket offer.
Right.
Because at $15, we're talking about maybe $2 click, right? $2 click, $3 click, 100 clicks, 200 clicks, getting them on a $2,000 product webinar call. Yeah, you could potentially see sales there.
What was I going to say? Forget. Oh, this is why the effectiveness of remarketing is why the cost of cold traffic has continued to go up, because the remarketers are soaking up all the bandwidth, and it's profitable, so they can bid more.
They can bid more.
So it gets really hard. That's why it gets harder. It's like Facebook, you used to be able to get traffic for like pennies a click, and it's gone way up because everyone's doing this because it works.
Yeah, the retargeting is like I did not understand the effectiveness of it until I had to do it, until I had to spend money to learn it the hard way.
Thinking in bets.
What's the? I haven't finished reading the book. What do you learn from it?
Well, basically that like one of the best ways to make decisions is to put money on the line, right? Like like one of the biggest takeaways is they had double-blind peer-reviewed studies, right? And what they did was they had two scenarios where the peer reviewers were just doing their reviews, and they had one where they were putting money on the line as to whether or not the research was correct. They were like betting money, and the people who, in the peer reviewers that had bet the money, had more accurate reviews of the predictions of the actual results without seeing the results, right, of just the study. So basically, like, and a lot of companies are doing it now too, where it's like essentially the idea is that like if you bet money on it, then you're going to more accurately assess it. You're going to overcome a lot of your confirmation bias, right? So if I do something and I'm like, oh, I just got unlucky or whatever, but then if you say, well, if you are you willing to bet money that you just got unlucky, right? Then you're going to actually carefully review what you do and have less bias. So putting money on the line, which is kind of interesting. I was thinking about that. It was like, maybe when we test stuff out, we should like make small bets and say like even within this group and say like
a sealed envelope prediction, say of what do you think a campaign is going to do?
Hey, Josh, I was thinking about it. What if your sealed envelope had $20,000 on it? Things would have been different because you would have.
My sealed envelopes used to have $20,000 on it. So I wrote down on I guess it was Tuesday morning at 9:14 a.m. I sent Manny a shot of the Post-it note where I wrote down exactly.
You killed me with that email.
I wrote exactly what I thought was going to happen. Day 1, gross revenue $2,500. Day 2, gross revenue $2,000. Day 3, gross revenue $5,000. Total of $9,500. We're currently sitting at 99.59, but Manny threw me a curveball with those ads. So
yeah, freaking. That's why Josh didn't want to get on the ads because he knew I would totally overpower his.
Did the last email go out? Is the sale finished now?
Yeah.
Yep. It's over.
So it was
last night.
But yeah, no, I've been doing this for a while here, so I kind of knew.
Anything less than 10K, I was gonna be really disappointed. So last night I was like throwing money at Facebook so hard you wouldn't believe it. Like I finally figured out. I didn't know that there was an accelerated way of doing it. So I got on a call with Miles. I'm like, dude, this thing is not spending money. What am I gonna do? It's like, oh, you need to go into accelerated mode. It will just spend all your money like now rather than spend it through the day. I put it in accelerated mode. Even then, I couldn't spend the damn money because I was like, I got to get to 10K.
We'll tick over 10K here. We're really close. We're like only about $41 away. So we'll hit.
This is a whole whole discussion. I don't mean to open a huge can of worms here, but you know where I'm seeing marketing going more than anything else, and even platforms and people moving to off of YouTube is Instagram. Instagram is huge right now. It's like so much, and the thing is, you can buy within Instagram, right? Like you can just I've bought stuff directly where you just click right in Instagram, and it already has your credit card information. You just buy with a few clicks. So I think that may be like the platform of the future. And so many people are on Instagram and constantly checking Instagram. Like Instagram has definitely, I'd say that it's dethroning Facebook as far as
it does
the time that people spend on it.
Facebook has lost significant amount of traffic. I was reading an article. They've lost like 20% of their traffic over the last couple of years. It's like a staggering amount. They're actually in danger of. They were the number 3 or the number 2 site on the internet, I think, behind Google, and they're slipping. They're going to be behind YouTube, and they're like So I'd love to see Facebook.
And you know what I think the key is too.
But then you don't want Google to own everything either, because Google can.
No, I really don't.
I think what's happening too is that people are sick of going on Facebook and seeing political bullshit. Right? It's like everyone posts stupid political stuff now, and if you go to Instagram, there's none of that, or very little of it. Yeah, it's like pictures. It's so. Yeah, so I've been beefing up on Instagram on the Bulldog Mindset Instagram account, and I've been seeing it's amazing the engagement rate. I've only got 200 and something followers on there right now, but if I post a picture, 100 people view it, or 50 people like it. So that's that's insane engagement.
And Instagram might be the biggest business steal of the century.
Yeah.
Because Mark Zuckerberg bought it for $1 billion. And today, Instagram could have been bigger than Facebook. That's how big it is getting.
Yeah.
Those fuckers didn't have the vision that he had.
No.
Chickened out. But then you can't really say that. Because, you can't
take
really
$1
blame
billion
them.
Payday.
Because, the Google guys, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, were ready to sell Google to Yahoo for $1 million, and Yahoo declined. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those little bitches.
Yeah.
Those guys whose platform we're sitting on right now, talking for free.
So the other interesting thing that happened with this campaign, we I drove 4,357 clicks, so almost 4,400 clicks And almost all of them came from one email. So the first email that I sent out only got maybe around 500 clicks, or maybe 600 to 800. And
I think
I think it was around 500. And but the average, or the EPC was like $4, right? So then the next day, I sent out an email, and the subject line was "The Book That Changed My Career," and it was a short story, a before and after of my life before I discovered Getting Things Done by David Allen. Like this book literally changed my life in about 2008. And but at the end of the email, I described my life before and after. I did not reveal the name of the book.
So good. So good.
I said the book. I'll give you 2 clues. I said the book gave rise to a very famous acronym that you've probably heard, and the book is included in this list of books that Manny has summarized here. Okay, we got like that email drove like almost 3,000 clicks. It was insane. It was the curiosity factor was insane. But the click through, Manny was kind of freaking out because the EPC on that email was more like $1.
Yeah.
It was like, because it was curious, but those were people that we could remarket to. So it was like, it got people to think about, it got people to look at the sales page who wouldn't have considered it normally. So I think it was a win. But that's where, like we've talked about the EPC thing, and that's where it gets kind of flaky. Like if we were to rerun this campaign with the same emails, we could kind of, we could compare, but you can really change that number with
I agree.
One email.
But I think the third email, what happened was I kind of freaked out about third email because it didn't perform as well as the last few third emails. Yeah. But also, here's my thinking on that email, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
You open the loop on the Pareto, like on the Pomodoros.
Yeah.
You closed the whole loop, and then you made a very subtle transition into, hey, by the way, check out this product. What would have been, I don't know how you could have done it, but it would have been like, see, this is just one of the 250 strategies that are out there, or one of the greatest, but there are so many others, like depending on what situation you're in. Like there was something about it that when I read the email, I was like, okay, I don't need to do anything more. I should just go and do 10 Pomodoros, literally. Like when I was looking at it, I was like, hey, Josh has given me the blueprint. I don't need to go buy this course right now. Like Josh has told me the answer.
That is true. That is the danger that is the difficult thing about doing content emails versus just pitch. And I will say that if you'd had the Pomodoro, I could have coordinated that with you and made you put the Pomodoro book in there, and then I could have done, because that's what I was able to do with the GTD book. But that the morning of the last day is never does anything. Okay. So I wasn't surprised at all. On the last day, all the sales come at the end. Which is why, like, I'm kind of going back to where I might just compress it back down to 2 days again, because I don't really think I've done a couple now where I stretched it out, and I don't really think that stretching it out really helps much at all. Like, it's just because you get fewer sales spread out over.
But here's what I would say now. With Facebook in the back, I would actually do it for stretched out period, because now it gives you the time to get Facebook in the door.
Potentially,
really build that momentum in their head, like this thing is all over. So I think if we do a really smart remarketing campaign with Facebook while we do this email promotion, like more like thought out in the sense, okay, we're going to do these curiosity things and this and that, then I think it would work. I think it would work even longer, like a 4-day, where just one email a day, and on the last day you only send email at before closing or something, but you're constantly remarketing on Facebook. It might be pretty powerful as well.
Well, it's all about the number of clicks you can drive, because that's the limit on how many people you can remarket to. So,
see, the other thing I'd be interested in A/B testing, like sending to one half double the emails, right? Like, what would happen? Like, we've never found the diminishing point of returns on email yet, so it'd be kind of interesting. At some point, we should test send.
I've done 7 before.
Yeah.
especially sending to the opens, sending more than one to the opens. Like if you send 4 to everyone, maybe 5 to the opens because they are interested, or 5 to the clicks. The clicks should definitely get it, man. The clicks should get at least 1 or 2 extra emails.
I would just send it to everyone, like just because you're going to get more opens and you're going to get more clicks. I mean, you know, one of the things I always think about is I signed up for this stupid like groceries, like meat store, right? Like they put me on their email list, and every day they send the same fucking email with this flyer, right? Every day, right? Same email, same shit is on sale. Like maybe there's like a slight variation on it. And like 90% of the time, I wouldn't open the email, and I wouldn't unsubscribe from the list either. But every once in a while, I'd be like, "Hey, I need some meat." And I just click it and buy something, right? And so, I don't know, when you think of it from the sender, you're like, it's so focused, like as if they care about you, right? Like when we're sending emails, we're like, oh, we sent them an email. They know we sent them an email, right? But from the consumer viewpoint, they're like, they might not even notice. They might not even care. Like, but so that's why I say, like, you know,
I think the repetition part you're hitting on is really crucial there. There's a very interesting, I was at War Room a few weeks ago, and Perry Marshall, you guys know Perry, right? Not Perry, what's his name?
Perry Belcher.
Perry Belcher. It's these fucking two Perrys. Perry Belcher is way more funny. So he was talking about how he bites his nails, right? He's biting his nails all the time. So he subscribed to this guy's this guy's blog on how to not stop biting your nails, right? So the guy, every Monday, at the same time, there is an automatic email that comes, still biting your nails? If you're still biting your nails, I have the solution. This is the course, right? So Perry's like, okay, I got it again. I can't believe he keeps sending this. This is so stupid. This is the stupidest form of marketing I've ever seen. And then one Monday afternoon, he's sitting there in his office, he's biting his nails, and it's all bloody, and the email comes, still biting your nails? And he fucking literally clicks and buys the damn product.
Okay, so we're talking about, I just want to call attention to the fact that we're talking about two completely different things here.
Yeah.
We are talking about spacing promotions out over time versus intensity.
Timing.
And sending 10 emails in 2 days is not the same as sending an email every week for a year or whatever. And I was talking to Manny about this earlier in the week. A lot of times there's a certain amount of juice that you can squeeze at any given time. And then you have to just wait. And then people will come around, and then you'll get Perry Belcher sitting there biting his nail while your ad comes up. But if he had sent 10 emails in one day, that wouldn't have been as effective. It wouldn't have really you're not going to convince somebody to buy today just by sending them more emails if they're not interested.
That's true, but I think there's this medium, right? Well, there's a reason why a lot of these guys do launches that are like 5 or 7 days long, where they send emails for 5 days, 7 days for the $2,000 product. I think they're building that curiosity. They're getting their foot in the door. They're building their time. They're educating the customer, constantly making that ask. So constantly educating. So, and also now with remarketing, with retargeting, you're getting that opportunity to do that as well. So repetition over 5 days, what John is saying, like sending more emails over a 5-day period rather than compressing it over 2 days, because 2 days is not enough time. So I'm more along the side of John here, like saying instead of shortening the campaign, you make it a longer campaign, an email that allows you to like just chew on it and not think about it. But then on the back end, you're constantly being allowed to remarket now.
Well, we're going to try later this month. I for this specific type of thing, I disagree strongly. Like, I really think that with the limited time, it's a different, when you have a bigger product, a longer launch is necessary because it's a longer buying, there's just a longer buying cycle when you have a bigger product. Sure. When you have a limited time offer for a low ticket product, that's intensity true. Is, I have found to be, I think it's more effective. We're going to try this month. I've been talking to Jason Humphrey, and we're going to do a launch this at the end of the month. And I am planning on making that a longer, it's going to probably be a $200 or $300 price point. And we're going to do a 5-day, actually thinking we're going to do a 5-day free course to launch the thing and then launch off the back of that. But the reason that I'm doing it is because we don't, like Jason and I don't have a lot of credibility right now with the audience. So I'm looking to use the content, the pre-launch content, to build that credibility up.
So you guys are creating the course?
Yeah, we're creating it.
Nice.
All right, here's what we should do. Okay, we should divide the list into 3, right? We should each bet $500 on what strategy to use, right? How many emails, duration, right? Any of those variables you can alter. And then whoever third sells the most, they win the pot.
I don't want to have to write emails for all 3 of you.
The problem is that Josh is the one that controls that thing because he's the one writing emails, so he will win anyways. If there's too many sales, Josh will send a bad email saying, "Don't buy this product anymore."
Yeah,
and that's it. That's the end of you winning that.
I'll throw some emails in there.
No, I guess no, I would say that if you're looking at like raw conversion numbers or like raw gross revenue for, I would pretty much bet money that sending more emails is always going to bring in a little bit more money. Is it worth it? That's the question.
That's the question.
Over the long term. Yeah.
But I think
over the long term.
Then you have to evaluate, okay, what is the marginal cost of an extra email versus money spent on Facebook advertising? Then you balance those things out, right?
Right.
Would you rather spend money on Facebook or would you rather spend money on email marginal cost that you are assuming is built into this equation, right? Because you're going to spend money on marketing. That's either ways you're spending money on marketing. Whether you're spending your email, what I would call quote unquote, your email like goodwill.
Yeah.
Right. Your email value in some ways, or you're buying that goodwill from Facebook. So that's
we will
never
Speaking of which, we've had this many times. Hi, there we go.
I wanted to make John as omnipresent as Ty yesterday. The video didn't come in time, but otherwise it would have been like literally right now. Facebook has it such that as soon as you go to your Facebook feed, the second thing on the feed will be an ad.
Yeah.
First thing is whatever. Second thing is an ad. Last week it was all Pat Flynn on my feed because he was selling his podcast course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And yesterday, hopefully we dominated some of the simple programmer productivity feed or simple programmer feed because I know John sent me a snapshot of him getting one of my ads. It was on your Facebook. It was on your Instagram, right?
It was on my Facebook. Did it go to Instagram too?
Oh yeah, it was on Instagram too. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if it was on Instagram. Okay.
Yeah, it was all over.
All right, Chuck needs to bail. Shall we do thoughts?
Go to.
Do thoughts.
Um,
I'm going to roll with the curiosity is very, very powerful in marketing. Like the click-through rate on that email, I sent it to the entire list. So 96,000. The click-through rate on most of the emails from that campaign were around 0.5%. The click-through rate on that right now is sitting at 2.2%. So like almost 5 times as much.
Wow.
So I had one more thing I wanted to talk to you guys about before we get into thoughts. Chuck, if you want to leave, go ahead with your thoughts. I wanted to ask one more thing.
No, go ahead and ask.
Okay, so here's my other thought on this thing. Is it possible to do a campaign where you say, okay, you send out an email, you say the offer is like, we're going to evaluate if we're going to continue doing this offer again tomorrow. So this is the deadline. But depending on how it goes, I might or might not actually have it open tomorrow. Do you think something like that would work? Because then you can actually create mini deadlines inside of your deadline, bigger deadline.
So I don't know. I've seen, so Brian Harris did something like this. I think he still does, where he offered new time, like he'd do like a 7-day launch. And then he noticed that no one bought except at the beginning and the end. So he tried doing new bonuses every day. Like he'd add a bonus and you had to buy that day to get the bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it made the launch. You'd have to really split test it to see if it actually increased it. I tend to think that it just shuffled things around. Probably his last day spike was a lot smaller to compensate for what he got done during the middle of the week. Like he was pulling those sales forward. And I'd never seen anyone like A/B test that. For me, it made the launch as someone consuming the launch, it was really confusing.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
I think what I have seen work well is the penny auction approach, where it's like the price goes up every time someone buys. That I've seen work pretty well. I've not seen anyone. Some shopping carts support it, but I don't think. Yeah.
No. So this actually, there are two reasons why I'm saying something like this. So you can actually get out of emailing more if the offer is not converting. But if the offer is converting, saying, okay, we're going to keep on doing it. So every day you're saying, hey, I'm not sure if I'll actually have this deadline, like I'll have this offer tomorrow. I think I've just got this offer for one day. But if it does well, if you guys buy, I might open it tomorrow, but this is all I got. And then the next day again, if it does well, you send more emails. If it doesn't do well, you just shut it down, saying it won't. You don't send any more emails about it. Then you have two deadlines built into this whole offer.
Try it, but bet money on it.
The one thing I don't like about it is that it feels kind of smarmy. Like,
no, you're being legit. Like, for example, if it was Podio and you saw the results, you would have said, nah, man, we can't do this because it's not, we're not getting any returns on this. You can literally shut down offers.
I think I know, but if you did that, I think if you did that 3 or 4 times in a row, people would just kind of be like, I don't care. Like, it might be useful. It might work once in a while, but I don't think it's something you can do every single time.
Plus, you always want to have the message that we're selling the shit out of this. It's everyone's buying this. You never want to have the message of I'm a loser. I suck at selling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you ever want to have that image. You want to have the image of like people are buying, they're chomping at the bit.
You're thinking about ways to ramp up the scarcity.
I think it would be awesome if you guys could have like a separate email list, which was like Simple Programmer Deals. SimpleProgrammerDeals.com, just like AppSumo, which is just about programmer related deals. And you just sold there separately. You let people go on that email list if they want.
I
thought about doing something like that.
Yeah. Oh, you at least register the domain before anyone else does.
All right.
Because your list is so big now, I'm sure there are some people who just want those offers and they're good with that, or those deals.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, your idea sounds like, hey, look, this sale ends today unless it doesn't.
Well, yeah, and that's fine too, because if you're interested in it, you will buy, because you don't want to wait for tomorrow. If it's not there, then you're screwed.
Well, then why not just end it that day?
Because if there's interest, if the sale went well, then I'm going to open it for more people.
Maybe.
Hey, it's just, another way to market, figuring out ways to market. That's all. Because urgency is the ultimate sales tool in our arsenal.
Well, and to be perfectly honest, I think I've proven to myself over and over again that what I think will happen and what will happen don't always coincide. So you may want to just try it and see what happens.
That's what we're saying, right? It's a test. It's not something that we know for sure. Marketing is all testing. There's no way we would know until we test the fuck out of it to know if it really works. But I get the point of like, then pretty soon the list will be like, are you serious? You're doing this every time to me now? But then the list will always be like, there will be times when you will shut it off and the list will be like, hey, this is real.
They won't notice anything. See, that's the thing. They won't notice because you won't send any emails.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they just won't notice that it happened. That's what's...
Yeah, like, it's just in the email somewhere it says, hey, by the way, I'm not sure if the deal will be on tomorrow because I want to see if you guys really care, if you're really interested. The deal is only for today. If it's good, then I'll open it. I'll talk to Manny and we'll open it tomorrow as well. But right now it's just one day.
Actually,
so that way,
okay, I can make your thing work. This is how it works. Okay.
Why are you laughing? He hasn't even started.
John's gonna fix it.
First day of the deal goes like this. This is it. This is the price. It's a 25% discount or whatever it is, 10% off, right? Blah, blah, blah. Tomorrow, if enough people buy today, everyone who buys today will get an additional 10% off tomorrow. Get refunded,
Ooh.
right?
Ooh.
If enough people buy today. So
no, if you just say, if you buy it today, you will get 10% off tomorrow, that itself is enough for people to get on the bandwagon because it's urgency.
Yeah. If enough people buy.
No, not enough. If people buy today, whoever buys today will get 10% off. Why are you saying enough?
Because then the next day, the sale will either go on, right? And
it's just got more confusing.
The first day.
No, but the guy doesn't know. He doesn't care if other people buy, but he does care the fact that he bought. If he bought, and he gets a 10% off, he's going to buy.
My head is hurting.
But he'll get an additional 10% off.
No.
All right, I have a new thought for the week, and that is confusion is the death of the sale.
Yes. Just send one email that says, buy my shit, and send that email 10 times.
Well, if you're going to
biting your nails.
Have you still not bought my thing?
Yeah, if you're going to base tomorrow's discount on today's sales, then you need to give them a way to share that sale, right?
Right.
We're all trying to get 10% off.
Exactly.
But then keep it simple.
Right.
Or not simple and really curious.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. I really do have to bail now.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give my thought. My thought is content is king. As I've been trying to beef up my Instagram account, I've been posting 2 Instagram posts per day, and with a fairly lengthy message on there. And as I've been looking on Instagram and just in general, right, if you look at the top media players today, it's probably Gary Vaynerchuk, it's Grant Cardone, Dan Locke just started popping up everywhere, right? If you look at these guys, the thing that they have all in common is that they content. They're posting like 4 or 5 pieces of content on their medium per day. And when I looked at YouTube stats, when I was posting more videos per day, it just was more increase in traffic. So it just, as much as it's like the content grind, like the more content that you produce, the better off that you end up being. It's like you can't make an argument. You can never overproduce content. I guess that's the argument that I would make. So.
Nice. I have a thought, and that is, so I found that my phone is my work avoidance tactic, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll play Clash of Clans until I run out of attacks or something, and then I'll move to another app and play a bunch of that. And I found that I was doing that more and more. And so what I've done is I have my task list, and like Pomodoros for me are sometimes kind of hard to stick to, and I don't know why. But what I've done instead is I've basically said when I complete this task on my list, then I can play, 1 round of attacks on Clash or whatever. And just spacing that out and kind of giving myself, that thing, whatever it is, and then going back in on the next one, that really seems to be able to help. And I've I got a ton of stuff done, and I didn't even work a full day doing that yesterday. And it was just mostly because I was able to tackle that and because I had my task list done ahead of time. So anyway,
are you on Simple Programmer list, by the way?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really good at archiving those without reading them.
Because yesterday they were running a promotion on something called productivity.
Yeah, I saw that, and then I archived it.
50 book summaries of the greatest productivity books out there. And there was also a course in there on never procrastinating again, which has like over 25 strategies on how to never procrastinate. One of which is what you just talked about. But there's 25
doing
others.
some remarketing here.
Gotcha. I know a guy. I can probably get that because I know a guy.
Oh, you know the guy. You might have to get that so that you've been talking about procrastination the last couple of weeks. I'll make sure to send it your way.
All right, sounds good.
Chuck. Yeah, check it out. I think you will get a lot out of it. There's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, a lot of it's just been escapism too, because I've gone through some rough stuff lately, but things are getting better. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but there's systems you can put in place to stop that.
Yep.
To any of that, like there's processes and systems that you can place. That's why these strategies work. They're real. My thought, so many thoughts right now because of the stupid launch. I think the best learning happens when you are forced to deliver results, right? The whole idea of willpower doesn't work, in that he's talking. Have you read the book Willpower Doesn't Work? Ben Hardy?
I have not.
Nope.
It's really good.
I've read 2 books called Willpower.
No, so this one is the opposite of that.
Those books don't work, John.
You read, no, willpower is great, but what he's talking about is really legit, like designing your environment, designing all those things. But ultimately it comes down to throwing yourself into situations where you've got to figure out a way to figure it out. And that's what happened with my Facebook ad thing. Like I was avoiding it for so long, but this case I was like, let me just put the money in and now let's figure this shit out. Let's rather than just, let me design a campaign in the future, blah, blah, blah. It's so much better when the traffic is there, when everything is happening, and you say, all right, let me just go figure it out. So I had like 2 nights of no sleep almost, but it was worth it because I learned so much more than I probably could have learned in like 6 months of trying to take courses on Facebook and do all that stuff, because I was just forced to make my money work.
Exactly. Yep.
Hey, when are you coming back, John? You just got to
September 1st.
First. Okay. That's almost done.
Alrighty.
All right. See you next week.
We'll be crossing 10K.
Yes, we will.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek as we figure it out. We are the Entre Programmers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developers.